This is what $6,000 for gaming gear looks like, and honestly, most of it is overpriced plastic. But it seems like there is a new meta emerging, ultra-light magnesium ICs and glass surfaces, and that claims to give you that unfair advantage. And basically I tested it all so you don't have to go broke. In this video I'm going to guide you through my entire testing process from the mice to the surfaces to the monitor tech. I'll share the pros, the cons and the honest reality of using this setup daily so you can decide if it's worth upgrading your rig or not. Now a lot of people will claim that weight doesn't matter for a mouse, if it's under like 100 grams is good enough and you should not really worry about them if you ever did a push-up in your entire life. Now here is what a lot of people miss: a 60-gram mouse carries momentum. When you flick to a target and try to stop, your micro muscles have to fight against that momentum. Your brain says stop, but the mouse wants to keep moving. That subtle disconnect is exactly why your crosshair overshoots sometimes. Now if you drop that weight to 35 grams like the Pulsar X2 Mini, crazy light of course, suddenly there's almost zero inertia. The mouse stops exactly when your brain tells it to. No fight, no overshoot. But here's the thing nobody tells you. It feels wrong at first, like terrible. Now the first time I picked up a 37-gram mouse after using a super light or a dead adder, I thought it was broken. It felt hollow, like a toy, like something was missing inside, and of course it kinda did. That feeling lasted 2 weeks, messing with my head a lot. Almost gave up on the whole idea of super light. Then something kinda clicked. My micro adjustments actually became kinda cool. Tracking felt like the crosshair was attached to my eyes for some reason, and it was kind of a cool feeling to be honest. However, there's a catch. This only would work for a specific grip style, fingertip or aggressive claw. If you palm grip, these mices will not work for you at all. Your hand will cramp, you'll hate it, and you should stick with something like the Viper V2 Pro, Dead Adder or Super Light. But if you're fingertip dominant and you've never tried like a sub 40-gram mice, you don't know what you're missing to be honest. Now the weight unlocks the first piece of the puzzle, but it's useless without the right surface. Now glass pads are not all about speed. Everyone thinks that's the point, glass is fast, sure, but that's not really why I switched to glass pads. Now cloth pads lie to you. In the morning they feel one way, after 2 hours of ranked your arm is sweating, the pad absorbs moisture and suddenly your glide is completely different. That muddy feeling where your crosshair drags half a centimeter behind your intentions, that's called humidity. And if you're like a super nerd that really cares about the every little single micro adjustments you do, you will most likely have to buy a lot of cloth pads because you will get mega annoyed real fast. Now the good thing about glass is that it doesn't change. Now I use the Wallhack Skypad 05 and it feels identical at hour 1 and hour 10. Humid day or dry day, doesn't really matter. The surface is the same every time. Now the theory is that consistency compounds and it allows your muscle memory to develop and you have like a more stable base. Some people say though that muscle memory is not a real thing when it comes to aim, but I don't know. Now of course all of this sounds super cool, but switching to glass pad demands a price. Now with cloth you can really dig in to stop your mouse, the friction helps you brake. Glass has almost zero stopping power from friction. Your wrist muscles become your brakes. This takes adjustments, a week, maybe 2. Now your micro correction will feel shaky at first because you're learning basically a completely different motor pattern. Also maintenance matters too. Dust on glass sounds awful, this scratchy grinding noise that makes you think you're destroying your skates. You need to wipe it constantly and I have to keep like a microfiber cloth next to my setup all the times. Now speaking of skates, standard PTF gets destroyed on glass, the surface eats through them in like 5 weeks. For this you need hardened skates like Obsidian Dots or Super Glides designed specifically for those hard pads. So now you have the mouse, you have the surface, the legal aimbot setup everyone's hyping about, but let me tell you why I almost went back to my Super Glide and cloth pad. Now glass amplifies everything, including your flaws. Now you know that slight hand tremor you get in a 1v1 clutch, the one you barely notice on cloth, glass makes it super visible. Your crosshair shakes not because the setup is bad, but because your nervous system is kinda exposed. In the first week I used glass in ranked, I dropped like 2 ranks, not because the gear was worse, but because I could suddenly see every micro mistake I was making. It took like 3 weeks before I stopped blaming the pad and started actually fixing my mechanics. Now there's also the issue of comfort. Glass is cold. In winter your wrist feels like it's resting on an ice pack, you need a sleeve because bare skin sticks to the surface and creates inconsistent glide. So I have to use like a compression sleeve year around now just to make it playable. And also let's talk about money because this gets expensive. Now the final mouse, for me it costs like $200 because of Europe and taxes. Their marketing is mega terrible, limited drops, artificial scarcity, esports, athlete, collab energy, all that bullshit. Now the Pulsar X2 Mini, I think it's around $100. It has the same shell technology, same weight class, no headache. Now I own both above, the Pulsar actually performs a bit better in my opinion, so don't pay extra for the hype. Now the mouse and pads are the core of the setup, but there is one more piece that makes it all feel connected. Now for myself, I also use the Asus 480Hz monitor, the OLED version of course. Now all of those hertz are great, more frames, smoother motion, whatever, but the real difference is the OLED pixel response time. And as someone who actually plays games, not just review stuff, this is super important. On my old monitor, fast moving targets, jet dashing, race satcheling and a lot of other stuff on my screen was kinda mad to see. You weren't really tracking the actual character, you were tracking like a smeared prediction of where they might end up. Now OLED kinda eliminates that, the target is sharp, always, no more ghosting. Now this kinda reduces also mental fatigue after like playing for a bunch of hours. Nowadays that I'm old, it doesn't really matter anymore because I don't play the game anymore, but yeah, you get the idea. Next, the most important element to this setup was the wooting and the first edition on the second one, because the second one is just basically the first edition but with better sounding buttons, and to be honest I don't really care about that. Now why the wooting is so cool, it has rapid trigger, it has the SOCD combined with a mouse that stops immediately and a surface with zero friction. The entire chain from the brain to servers almost has like no latency. It feels mega connected, like there's nothing between your intention and the game. So that's the ecosystem, 20 plus mices, thousands of dollars, months of testing. So here's who should actually buy any of this. Now to be honest, this setup is for one specific type of player, the fingertip grip one. So if that's you, the Pulsar X2 Mini plus wallhack glass pad is the combination, to be honest. Keep the final mouse because I don't know, it's just, now for me it's more like a thing to have if you're a collector, I don't know, but it's not that good to be honest, I don't know. Now for everyone else, I mean 99% of players, this is not the answer. A Super Light 2 on a quality cloth pad is still the safest, most stable route to better aim. I kept the setup, but I wouldn't really recommend it to anyone who isn't already like mega super obsessed about getting better at the game or just about tech in general. So that's it, I hope you get something from this video and I'll see you next one.